So hello everyone, welcome you all in Once Smart YouTube channel. Myself CMA Mahendra Sani, and today in this mock interview series, I have my colleagues CMA Lakshita Motwani and hello Naveen, how are you?
Hello, sir. I'm doing great. How about you?
We are also fine. Okay, so just to start today's conversation. Just tell about yourself in brief. That's why we can know about you.
Yeah. As you already know, I'm Naveen Kumar Satyanapalli from Telangana state, and I'm a recently qualified cost and management accountant. And I secured all India 28th rank in CMA final, and I cleared CMA Inter in first sitting as well. And when it comes to my work experience, I have worked with the PM Ananda and Co, which is from Bangalore, and then later I shifted to Shiva Ramesh Epuri and Co. And my work experience involves wide varieties of work involving statutory audits, concurrent audits, and internal audits of few corporates. And apart, the audit work will be seasonal, and my firm never restricted me to the work in a particular area. So I touched upon different areas, which involving filing of ROC returns and few certifications also I have done, and hands-on experience in audit tools like Tally, ERP, and Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel, I've worked extensively because I worked in processing of payrolls and auditing there. And personally, I'm a very confident person, and I'm looking forward to face new challenges. And I have a very good understanding of things, and I can communicate really well. And apart from this, I'm I'm a I'm a very motivated person, and I want to put my foot forward to face new challenges, and I'll raise my hand if I have to face anything new, and that's part. So you're on mute.
Okay, so Naveen, so far in which company you are shortlisted?
I got shortlisted in NLC for Ford Motors, Kalpataru, and then Prism Johnson.
Okay, so you are shortlisted for PSU as well, right?
Yeah,
okay.
One PSU.
So Naveen, I can see your CV that you were as a trainee in the Shiva Ramesh and Equity,
yes,
right? So you were as a CMA trainee or you were paid trainee?
CMA training.
You are CMA trainee. So you are the just experience as a practical training only, right?
Yes, I've not
okay.
done.
So, but I can see that your CV you mentioned that bookkeeping, preparation of financial statement, you work on reconciliation as well, prepare
Yes.
Excel sheets. Okay, okay, group involved audit. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So tell me one thing.
Yes, sir.
The difference between cost of goods sold and operating cost and cost of production.
Operating cost and cost of production. Now give me a second. Cost of goods sold is the amount. Goods sold is computation of cost of goods sold involves opening cost plus purchases and minus closing stock, which overall covers what actually we are spending on for processing the goods from the raw material stage to final product. And operating costs involve other aspects as well. Apart from the production, own sales and administration expenditure and the office costs, other aspects also will be covered in operating costs. What was the other one I just missed? Sorry, you're on mute, sir.
Cost of production.
Yeah, cost of production. Cost of production and maybe cost of goods sold plus factory cost will give you cost of production. I'm not actually
what is
sure.
capital employed?
Capital employed is the amount we pump into the company or organization. Capital employed is computed based on assets minus the other liabilities other than the capital liability will give you cost of capital employed. Sorry.
So what is the ratio of return on equity, return on investment?
Return on investment. It's computed based on different formulas. Let's say on a crude note, if I have to say, what is the return we are having and divided by amount of investment we made.
Amount of investment.
Investment. Return on investment you asked, right?
Yeah. Return on investment. So what the formula of return on investment ratio?
Return on investments. Let's say total amount of investment. Let's say total profit divided by total amount of assets will give you return on investments. That's the total investment, right?
So how will you calculate total investment from the balance sheet?
Total investment, total assets minus outside of liabilities. That's the capital employed.
Total outside liabilities?
No, other than shareholders' liabilities.
No, you are saying that total assets minus what will we do?
No, outside of liabilities, like long-term.
So outside liability, long-term, short-term, both.
Long-term,
short-term, both.
Yes.
Okay, so it means that shareholders' funds are capital employed as per you. Okay. So what about profit? Let's say before interest or after interest and tax. Which profit you will take here?
After tax profit, PAT.
Okay. What is accounts payable cycle?
Accounts payable cycle is the operating, just like operating cycle. How often we pay to the creditors? That's called. Let's say our vendors are giving 30 days of credit period. That will be the account payable cycle for us for that particular creditor.
No, I'm not asking about working capital cycle. I'm just asking about accounts payable cycle. P2B, procure to payment cycle.
I'm not actually sure. That's the basic idea I have.
Okay. What is goods receipt note?
Goods receipt note comprises of the details, how much quantity we have received into the store after placing a particular purchase order, and it involves the quantity details and the particulars of goods we receive. The stores manager will be keeping that goods received note, and he'll record all based on the purchase order whether we received all the goods based on the purchase order or not. It will be compared with the consignment. That's what.
Okay. What is throughput costing?
Throughput costing. Throughput accounting or throughput cost? Throughput costing.
Throughput costing.
Yeah, throughput costing is used when we have a bottleneck. Based on just like bottleneck, we compare when there is a shortfall of material. Sales minus material cost, we'll be computing the contribution based on that, and we'll be ranking the contribution, and that's how the throughput costing is used.
So is it useful or in any organization as a real? What use of this throughput costing?
When there is a limitation of material or raw material, in that case we can optimize how much quantity to be produced for a particular product. Let's say 3 products are there, and how much material should be used on the highest contributing product.
Okay, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, so Naveen, tell me something apart from your resume.
Apart from my resume, if I have to talk about it, I have a personal interest in learning photography. So in my free times,
in your CV, I guess.
Okay. Apart from my CV, I'm a movie buff, and most of the times I'll be watching new kind of movies. So, and I'm a very curious person. And apart from my CV, recently I learned Power Query that is not involved in my CV. So whenever I have a free time, I'll try to learn new things, or else I'll try to read something new, or else I have any queries or any intrigued questions, or else other than this, I'll be doing meditation or I'll play something. That's what.
Okay. So like what kind of movies do you like to watch?
Mostly action movies.
Okay, fine. Okay, so as you have mentioned in your CV that you have that you have, helped PM Ananda and company, okay, used advanced Excel tools to automate processes and payroll processing. So what
Yes.
kind of advanced Excel, like what did you use?
Mm, Advanced tools I mentioned there, involving no, apart from, it's not about payroll actually. The thing I mentioned there is, there we have, like, in Tally ERP, if we export the trial balance, we made an Excel in such a way that if I put trial balance and the link to prepare a particular financial statement like balance sheet and P&L account, if it is already prepared, then the amounts will auto populate in the notes to accounts, and then in the directors report, board of directors report also we have to mention. So apart from, without constantly changing three different documents, if you give all the details in one Excel sheet, and it will auto populate in all the other three things. That one
Okay.
thing we made. And tedious interest calculations also we made. If you give the date of deduction and date of payment, the interest calculations will auto populate. And payroll processing also, we did something like, there will be some 5 to 6 criteria of, let's say for medical expenditure, how much we allowed in the past 5 months. It will use sum if function to be precise. So it will add all the totals, and it will give actual amount to be given or allowed in a particular month or a consecutive months, and how much is available for further months, something like that.
Okay. So do you know about VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP?
Yeah, I have a fair idea about it.
Okay. So can you tell me when do we use HLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, and when do we use XLOOKUP?
VLOOKUP, let's say there is a range of data, and if you have to extract the data from in a sixth column, and from the beginning of the first column, we based on a reference, then from there we can extract VLOOKUP data if the data is in vertical form. In
Okay.
HLOOKUP and XLOOKUP also similar kind of stuff only, but XLOOKUP, we don't have to have the reference in the first column, unlike in VLOOKUP. XLOOKUP will work horizontally and vertically.
Okay. And as you have mentioned in your hobbies that you love to read books, is it true?
Yeah, I read.
Okay. So what kind of the book that you read recently?
I mostly read non-fiction. The title I finished recently is Tuesdays with Maury. Tuesdays with Maury is about a couple of guys. One guy is a professor, and the other guy is his student. The
Okay.
professor, he knows that he learns the fact that he is about to die in few days. Then he starts sharing his life experience with the students or people who are interested. He organizes few camps or meetings with the people who are interested to talk with him, and there he'll talk about the facts of how to face death, something like that.
Okay. So like who's the author of this Tuesday with Movies?
Which album?
Okay. And what did you learn by reading this book?
Mm, mm, the learning aspects of that is, uh, we tend to take the life very seriously, and we should know that someday we have to die,
Hmm.
and based on that we should enjoy the present moments.
Okay. Fine. Okay. And one more I can see that you have led cricket team in school and won teaching competition. So what's
Yeah,
the teaching competition about?
I like mathematics actually. And
Okay.
then in my school time, they used to conduct these teaching sessions, like students will be teaching other students. So there I participated and I won.
Yeah, sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you about that teaching competition.
Okay. Teaching in my school days, they used to be some occasions, let's say September 5th on Teachers Day, they'll conduct these sessions where if you volunteer to teach students, they'll allow you to teach, and that's kind of a competition there. Because of my love for mathematics, so there I teach mathematics, and won that prize.
Okay, so you know differentiation, integration, as you said, you love maths.
Oh, I love maths, but it's quite a long time back I did differentiation integration. So it's
Okay, so
time
no
to
liquid
recall.
trigonometries and all that.
No.
Okay, so that was past that you have mentioned. Okay, fine. Okay, and fine, sir, off to you.
Okay, so Naveen, from which state you belong?
Telangana, sir.
But you not mention in your CV.
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe should I?
okay. That when Telangana passed the GST bill.
GST bill, Telangana. I'm not actually sure, sir. Maybe along with other states, 2017.
Okay, which state passed first GST bill?
No, I'm not actually sure about it.
Oh,
Maybe
buddy, this is
Gujarat.
Telangana. This
It's
is
Telangana
Telangana.
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Tell me one thing. What is SOX audit? Are you aware about this SOX audit?
No, I've not done SOX audit, but the idea I have about SOX audit is it's a US country's norms based on that. It's a kind of internal audit.
Okay.
It has similar lines with internal
Okay.
audit about financial
Mhm.
reporting and financial reporting controls in a particular organization.
Okay. What's the provision of goods in transit and how will you show in financial statement goods in transit?
Goods in transit. Goods in transit. We don't record that particular transaction until we receive the purchase contract will not be finished, right?
Sorry, you will not record anywhere to this?
Maybe an adjusting entry we have to pass post that. I'm not actually sure about goods in transit, how to record it.
Suppose that you purchase that 5 lakh rupees goods from the Delhi, right? And obviously it's your liability created from the vendor side, but your goods not in your possession because this is in transit, right? Will you show this in trading count? This is not your asset.
Maybe after receiving it, let's say it's
No, till 31st March. Till 31st March, this is not receivable because this is in transit, and you are preparing the financial statement on 31st March, right? So on 31st March, what will be your treatment?
maybe we can involve it in the closing. It's not received yet, so we can't involve it. If we can give it as a footnote that certain amount of goods is yet to be received. Not actually sure. Because
Okay,
we
tell me
have
one
not received, we
situational
can't
question.
reflect in the closing stock as well. But how can we create liability in books of accounts? Maybe a suspense account, something like that.
So you wanna say that that you will include in closing stock and trading count, right?
No, because we have not actually received, we might not be able to record it. I'm a little confused about it.
Okay, what's the concept of debit note, credit note in GST?
Concept of debit note and credit note. If you're returning the goods, then credit note will be issued, and if any other further charges needs to be added to the invoice amount, then they will issue debit note.
Sorry, can you repeat this? You are saying that you are the purchaser, right? And you are returning to the goods to the vendor.
No.
You will issue the credit note, right?
If I am a supplier and I have to issue some discount, or they are giving back the goods, then we'll issue credit note. And let's say there is an escalation clause or there is a penalty we are charging, we have to raise the tax invoice amount. So then in that case, we'll be issuing debit note, increasing the debit in the books of accounts. Then we'll give debit note. Right?
So will you make any journal entry for this credit note as a supplier?
Credit note, we have to, in books of accounts, we have to reverse the amount of debit we already created, right? Let's say in a sales transaction, we'll be debiting the receiver and then we'll be crediting the sales account, right? When we issue credit note, we have to reverse that entry. Not exactly reversing the sales entry, but based on the credit note, we will be crediting the debtors account. So that's why we should credit.
Okay, which section applies in GST for debit note, credit note?
Section numbers I'm not sure in GST, sir. But I know the provision how debtor and debit note will be dealt and how credit note will be dealt.
Okay. Okay, I'm giving a situation. Suppose that you are the buyer, right? You are the customer, right? You are the buyer. You create a PO to purchase 100 quantity from the vendor side. Vendor sent you 100 quantity in a vehicle. When your store department unloading these goods, they found that 2 quantity are damaged, that are not usable anything, right?
Okay.
So for how many quantity you will make the purchase entry, and what will be the treatment for 2 quantities?
2 quantities, if it is a normal loss, then we'll create the normal loss in the books of accounts, and we'll record the closing stock for 98, and 2 will be the normal loss. And if it is abnormal loss, then maybe vendor will take the loss of it.
No, the quantity is damaged due to the cartoon that break out, right? The curtains is break out, that cannot, these cannot use you, right? And this is the mistake of your vendor.
In that situation, maybe we will create the liability for 100 initially, but vendor will issue credit note for that loss of goods. Then the liability will be reduced.
So vendor, how vendor will know that 2 quantity are damaged? How will they know? You will send something to them?
Yeah, we have to communicate to the vendor. Maybe request them to issue credit note to us, so the liability will be reduced.
No, okay, vendor will issue credit note. You also will issue some note to them? Debit note, you will issue debit note to them?
Debit, no. This situation I'm not aware. I learned from the seller's perspective. So, debit
okay.
note.
Okay, what is liquid assets? Okay, what is liquid asset?
Liquid assets which are readily realizable are called the liquid assets.
How will you calculate this?
Calculating liquid assets. Maybe current assets will be called liquid assets which are readily realizable. Let's say stock, which is readily which we can sell and realize the money, or else fixed deposits which we maintaining as a deposits, and which we can convert into cash and use them immediately. Those are called liquid assets. Calculating how we can calculate liquid assets, I'm not
sure. Okay, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, so Naveen, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line?
5 years down the line, I want to reach a leadership position in a particular organization where I can use my skills and abilities, and maybe a good leadership position, and I want to learn data analytics and fraud accounting also. So maybe if I can use that knowledge in the organization, then that's how I want to see myself.
Okay. Okay. And can you brief me up about India's 115?
India's 115 is a revenue recognition standard. It involves a 5-step model where we identify the transaction, and where then we identify the performance obligation, and then we finalize, then we recognize the transaction price, then we allocate the transaction price to the performance obligation, and if it is realized, then we recognize that revenue.
Okay.
And if it is fulfilled, the performance obligation is fulfilled, then we recognize.
Okay. And while answering sir's question, you mentioned about escalation clause, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me what is escalation clause?
Let's say in a construction contract, if the construction contract started in a 1 year and then shifted to further periods where the amount of investment is getting increased, then the vendor will charge you more. So And that's how escalation clause is used. Let's say 5% escalation clause is used based on the inflation or increase in the amount of expenditure for them. Then they will add the escalation clause to the contract invoice
Okay.
price.
Okay. And as I can see that you have got rank in CMA finals, right?
Yeah.
But why were you not able to get rank in CMA Inter? That is more easy than finals, I feel.
Yeah, CMA Inter, I have not prepared so much. It's like as I was preparing for CA final, then which was relatively easy for me, and I got some 640 marks or something, which is 10 marks shy of All India rank back then.
So you were just 10 marks behind, right?
Yeah, it's just 10 marks.
Okay, so you just missed it. Fine. Okay. And as you have mentioned about audit in your CV,
Yeah.
right? So the 5 main things that we check when we are on an audit.
On an audit, every audit or a particular audit?
Internal audit.
Internal audit. Internal audit. If I have to do an internal audit, I'll first thing I'll check is the standard operating procedures of that particular company, and how from the beginning of a transaction, from its inception to end, how it is recorded, and what are all the departments involved, and what is the segregation of duties in that particular organization, so that I'll be knowing that whether there are any checks involved, and what are all the cases they had, what are the controls which are in place to safeguarding of assets, and 5 things, and how the financial reporting structure is there, and that's it.
Okay. And so as you have mentioned that you have participated in many debates competition,
Yes.
right? So can you recall some topic, like in what kind of debate was that?
Debates, I'm not sure. One interesting thing we discussed was about Jawaharlal Nehru.
Okay.
If you are saying that you will be debating that he contributed to the country, and few are against it, something like that, and few other topics. But this one was interesting.
So it was inter school or intra school?
Intra school one.
Okay, it was
Within the
intra
school.
school. Okay, fine. Okay, so off to you now.
So Naveen, what were you doing after your exam end?
This exams, recent in June exams,
Yeah.
I was learning few tools, and post results. Actually, as I was preparing for CA final, I was busy in that.
So which tool you learn?
As I mentioned earlier, I recently learned about Power Query, in which I can use, let's say there is a sales data of a particular month, and if I need a custom report, let's say a dashboard, to know from which state how much is the revenue.
What is your dashboard in a company?
Dashboards, let's say a dashboard comprises of 4 years data, or different kinds of states data. If I click on a particular state name, I'll get the details of that corresponding state, or the chart linked to that dashboard will be updated for that particular state.
Okay. Okay, tell me one thing, that this is a situational question. Suppose that you made a mistake in your company, right? And no one noticed this.
Okay.
So how will we handle this consequences?
No one noticed it.
And you are on the senior position level.
Okay. It depends on the situation to situation. So what kind of mistake it is, and how it impacts the organization. Whether it is very material one or immaterial one, or it is a very trivial mistake. Or if it is a very serious one, I'll be reporting to show my integrity, and then I'll face the consequences. If it
It's
is
totally impact on your financial statement position.
it's have a huge impact on my financial position, then I have to declare it to the management, and then find a reasonable solution to that.
Okay. Okay, tell me one thing more. Just listen to carefully my question, right?
Okay.
Suppose that you are a project manager in your company.
Okay.
Okay. and recently you completed one project successfully in given time.
Okay.
Right. Meanwhile, you are also allocated one project which you need to complete in coming 3 quarters.
Okay.
Right. 2 quarters already completed, but you complete your work only 30%.
Okay.
Right. Meanwhile, you are receiving a mail from your senior management level. In this mail, there is a two part of the mail. In one part, you are receiving appreciation mail to you and your team. Then Naveen, you and your team done well, completed your project on time. So congratulations.
About
And
the
the
first
second
project.
part of the mail, you are receiving a warning mails, red mail, right? In which you are receiving that Naveen, you are not performing well. As you passed the 2 quarter, but you completed only 30% of the project. How will you complete this on the given time? Because you have the only 1 quarter left and you completing 30% work. So this is a warning mails. And for both mails, you need to reply to the management, and you have to also circulate the appreciation mail and this warning mail to your team. So how will you handle this, all the consequences? Please reply this.
Okay. So the both projects will be done mutually, or
Sorry?
both the projects will be handled mutually by the project manager, or how it is?
You are the team leader, right? And you are the 5 teammates in your team.
Okay.
And
Let's say
same team completed on time, but same team is not completing to this project on time.
okay. Okay. As same team handling both the projects. Maybe as I'm in a leadership position in that particular organization, uh, for not completing the second project on time, or only 30% is completed, maybe I have to take the responsibility and lead the team to complete the remaining project in the upcoming quarter, or maybe I have to push them a little bit harder than compared to the earlier project which I already completed, and I have to give appreciation to them. First I'll be telling them that we have a 70% project left in the second one, so that it will be a warning to them, warning or a suggestion to improve the number of works put in, or number of amount of hard work we have to do to achieve this target. Then later I'll talk about the appreciation part, so it will not leave negative impact on them to complete the work.
So what will you reply to the management on this mail, on both mail?
Management To management, if I have to reply, I'll assure them how efficient our team was, because they are 100% successful in completing the project one, and how resourceful are them to finish the next project, or if it is humanly impossible or it can't be achieved, then I'll request them to give further uh, time or something like that.
No, they do not have further time to extend you. They already told you in initial that you have the only 3 quarters, right?
Okay.
So according to you, as per you, what are the reasons to not complete it on the given time? What may be reason?
Uh, there could be different reasons, maybe because of the external factors, or internal failure to plan the project properly, or maybe the resources are not available at the right time to finish both the projects, or they are a bit too occupied, or maybe they are more focused on the project one and ignoring the second one, so the second one is a bit delayed compared to the first one.
Okay, so suppose that you are the part of our company, right, on the manager level, right?
Yeah.
So what will your value addition works except the day-to-day work in your company? What will your value addition work?
Value addition work, as a person, I have the mindset to think from different perspectives. Let's say I'm doing a particular accounting entry, and then I'll be looking the impact on the financial statements from different perspectives. So based on that knowledge, or based on that, using that mindset, I can contribute to the organization in management decisions. Let's say they want to introduce a particular product, I can give my insights, like what are all the areas it'll impact in the organization structure, and I'm a very hardworking person, and I can given my suggestions or inputs to the organization, or else I can give additional hours of my time to improve the performance of the team.
Okay. One more thing that this is your first day in your company as a manager,
Okay.
right? And you have the 7 members team. You are taking a huddle. You are taking a meeting a very first day to your team, and you are asking to your team, do you have any issues so far, right, in your process? And they are complaining that, sir, we need at least 2 bandwidth, I mean 2 employees to complete our work on time, because we have to stay the late night to complete this work last 3 to 4 months. But you know very well that management is not allowing to hire the more employees, right? So how will you handle this? And you are the totally fresher, you don't know what the work, right, what the issues, but that employee is complaining, the team is complaining you, the sir, we need 2 employees in our process. So how will you handle this?
Maybe by understanding the upcoming task, like in earlier task, they may not be sufficient labor hours to finish that job, so that's why they are feeling number of workers is not sufficient. Maybe by comparing the standard number of hours required to the upcoming project, or else I can request I can convince the organizational management to hire few more people, or giving incentive to the people already involved in the organization. Let's say the team, by requesting the team to put an extra effort so that we can incentivize them to achieve more or do overtime to finish the project on time.
Can you involve to help with your team as a journal
Yeah.
entry, doing the journal entry? Can you do the journal entry with your team?
Yeah, if it is the necessity there, I can share the work with my team as well, because I have in a leadership position, we have to be a team player as well as a team leader, so I can involve with them if there is a need be to do that.
Okay. Okay. What is journal entry when so you are selling the goods to the vendor? GST journal entry.
Goods to the vendor. Sale entry you are asking. Okay.
Sale.
Purchaser account debtor account debit to sales to output tax, CGST and SGST or IGST, let's say.
Okay. In which ledger the ITC is credited? When can you say, in which ledger you can say that my ITC is available?
When the total output tax is more, output tax is less than the input tax, then.
So in which ledger you can say this balance of ITC? Where can you see this ITC balance? In which ledger?
In which ledger? We can be having that combined ledger to hit all the ledgers. Let's say output tax, different rates of output tax and different rates of input tax will be there. And one particular ledger can be created to combine all these things, so we can have the balance. Let's say reconciliation kind of ledger we can create.
Have you ever heard about electronic credit ledger, electronic cash ledger, electronic liability ledger?
Yes.
So in which ledger ITC is available?
Credit ledger, electronic credit. I was thinking you were asking about in books of accounts, how I was a little confused about the question. So in GST portal.
Okay, Naveen. Anything from your side, ma'am?
I have just a last question. Any recent news about Telangana, as you reside in Telangana?
Recent news about Telangana. Recently, they started this T-Hub, where it's kind of an incubator where people can come in and work there, and startups will be located in that, and startups will be funded through the T-Hub. That is one interesting aspect about Telangana. Recently, they started in Hyderabad.
Okay, so is Telangana the first state to start this?
No, I'm not sure about it. And one more recent news about Telangana is that they're about to conduct a Formula One race in Telangana using e-vehicles, electronic vehicles, to promote it, which is very first in India.
Okay.
So Naveen, how will you describe yourself in a one word?
In one word. Ready to face challenges, or I never thought of a particular word to describe myself.